Hello and thanks for joining us here on France 24 for France in Focus, coming to you from the main Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport this week as we examine the issue of emigration. Every year, thousands of French nationals decide to up sticks and bid au revoir to this country for life overseas. In this edition, we'll be asking who are these people, where are they going, and what reasons are they giving for their departure? But let's start by taking a look at a few facts and figures.
In search of a new life, more French nationals are moving abroad, according to the latest figures from the Foreign Ministry, leaving behind their native shores for booming economies. The United Arab Emirates is home to more than 20,000 French nationals. Some are traditional expats sent by their employers, others enterprising entrepreneurs keen to try their luck in a foreign land. Elsewhere, French citizens are packing their bags for North America, with the US and Canada welcoming some 14% of French expats. They're also heading to Australia and New Zealand, both popular thanks to the working holiday visa scheme. But other countries have fallen out of favour. Amid an economic slowdown and high pollution levels, the number of French nationals settling in China has stabilised after seeing soaring growth in the noughties. However, the majority of French expats don't even leave the continent, with 37% remaining in the EU.
Well, roughly 180,000 people go through Paris Charles de Gaulle every single day, making this Europe's second busiest airport. Well, many of the French nationals leaving here today are probably off on a short trip somewhere, but some of them might be planning to stay away for rather longer. The reason for their departure? Well, it might be for better job prospects. It could be concerns about taxation. Maybe they just want a change of scene. But we're going to take you now to meet some of the people who've already flown the nest.
From one of Paris's trendiest neighborhoods to the glistening towers of the United Arab Emirates, it's a path Mohammed and Ahmed Ben Aissa have chosen to take. The French brothers of Algerian descent are making preparations to open their fourth bakery in Dubai. This is the kind of success they were yearning for in France, but their ambitions could never bear fruit.
I think that in France there is a system. It's the politics of the banks. Maybe they're scared to take risks. I guess it's destiny if things didn't work out there, and they are out here.
In Dubai alone, the French consulate registers on average 100 new arrivals each month. Among them, Khaled Boudemar. He started an organization to help French citizens like himself acclimatize to the city.
I think to have an Arab and Muslim background and to have been trained in France, be Western educated, well, that's definitely a plus for the recruiters.
Whether in the Middle East or in the United States, young French people are in search of investors. Julien Muller picked Silicon Valley to launch his startup.
Holidog is the Airbnb for dogs. It permits you to find someone to look after your animal when you go on holiday.
This young entrepreneur tried to launch his company back in France with no success.
French investors say the market is too small in France. Think bigger. But if I say let's expand, then it's too risky.
And here, what do they say?
It's great, it's great. Okay, how much do I put in?
Julien has set up Holidog in this incubator. The space also helped him find funding. So far, he's raised the $10 million needed for his site. For this French investor based in San Francisco, Silicon Valley is a competitive place where one needs to have an appetite for risk.
Out of 100 startups, nearly 70 to 80 end up folding.
Whether it's to try one's luck in launching a career or simply a move to retire in a warmer climate, that's what Joël and Mireille Bourguignon have always dreamt of. 3 years ago, they began their retirement in Morocco. What shaped their decision? The price of their house. At 300,000 euros, it was 3 times cheaper than a villa of this size in the south of France.
Buying the same surface area in France is good, but then you need money to live. When you get to our age and you put down $1 million into something, you need to have it cash. If not, that means you have to take out a loan. Until what age?
Besides visiting their children for a few days a year, Joël and Mireille don't return to France. They say they are happy where they are.
Living abroad doesn't necessarily mean a dramatic change in lifestyle. In some cities around the world, French nationals can find they've got no shortage of compatriots for company. But as a result, in a city like London, parents can find that finding a place for their children in the French-speaking school can be a serious challenge.
South Kensington, a prime spot for London's French community, one that's rapidly growing. But there's a new issue at hand. For parents wanting to enroll their children in schools, rejection letters have become a norm. And to secure a place, many are having to resort to applying very early on.
When I was pregnant, I had many friends who already had children telling me I had to start enrolling my daughter, even though she wasn't even born yet. I found that a little strange. But with all the pressure from those around me, I started the process, and I don't know what happened, but we did manage to get a place. We're delighted.
But for others like this family who have 3 children, it's been an uphill battle.
I applied 3 times, and each time I received a rejection letter. It's a real problem. Once we actually found a school, it was a relief. It was a major problem for us. It's almost harder to find a school than it is to find a job.
To help ease the pressure, President François Hollande inaugurated a new French school last September. But the latest institution has problems of its own. It's some 20 kilometers from central London, and it's even more costly. As it stands, Charles de Gaulle is setting London's French parents back €9,000 a year, while the Winston Churchill comes at €14,000. For those that can't afford these fees or can't secure a place, their children have to integrate themselves into the British school system. Some go to religious schools like this one, but to do so they have to be baptised by a Catholic church. Others can look at private schools as an option. These students have to pass an entrance test at 3 years old and pay a whopping €15,000 to €20,000 a year.
Well, it's not just a one-way flow of traffic. People are arriving in France all the time, some of them from other countries, some of them are French nationals who've decided the moment has come for them to return. And as we're about to see in this next report, the reasons for their return can vary enormously.
Deborah and Dominique have just arrived in France after leaving their home in Mexico where they grew up. This week, they're starting school on the outskirts of Paris. But the 2 girls barely speak any of their French father's native language.
She's missing her family and friends. It's normal.
It was a decision taken after over a decade in Mexico. At first, Olivier said he loved living there, but became disenchanted with the country's corruption and social inequality. Eventually, it was the worsening security situation that pushed the family to return to France.
We couldn't go into shopping centres or out into the countryside without being crazy with paranoia after so many violent kidnappings and other events.
So you're happy to be here?
Yes, I'm happy. I think it was the best decision we could make, especially for my children.
To help with the process of reintegration, Olivier called the UFE, an organisation that's been helping French people living abroad since 1927. The UFE offers practical advice to expatriates, but also to returning French citizens who no longer understand the complexities of French bureaucracy.
This year, we've set up partnerships with business consultants and recruitment firms who can be available for discussions either at the moment of return or even beforehand.
Paul Sidbon made a strategic decision to launch his business in France after years living in the US. His startup, Sicuis, offers mobile application systems to business communities across France. Now he's looking at expanding out to Asia and Africa.
We're now in the Congo, in Senegal, and in Kenya. And we've both reduced the jet lag, and as a company that's just starting out, we have access to certain markets that would be impossible from the USA.
The high level of training in France is another factor for Paul. These young engineers are developing systems that are among the highest performing in the world. And for the moment, they haven't answered the siren's call of Silicon Valley.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of France in Focus. Thank you for watching. See you again soon here on France 24.